Do you ever regret buying XRP? Was XRP a very big mistake? And should we give up on XRP now that the lawsuit is finished, but the price has not gone to any crazy heights just quite yet? A lot of people have been asking me this question. And I think for the most part, it's because they're disappointed that XRP is not trading at a crazy high level relatively to some other coins. They, for example, take a look at Solana and think, hey, if I had just bought Solana, I would have done way better than buying XRP, so it's been a waste of time. Let's start off by saying two things. One, it all depends on when you bought in and what your strategy was from the start. If your idea was to buy something one time and then never buy again, there's a very high probability your price was higher for XRP than it is today, meaning it was a bad choice. However, if you bought once with the idea of buying dips, right now you can't be at a loss on your XRP unless you played a really strange strategy game. And for that reason, even though it wasn't the best, it wasn't bad. And point number two is, I don't like to look too much at the past and what I could have done because nobody really knows, right? The lawsuit could have finished with us going times 10 in an instant. But I like to look more into the future and more thinking of, with the position that I am in right now today, what is the best thing I can do with my dollars? If you've got it parked in XRP, again, now comes point two, are you diversifying? Have you only got XRP or have you got a good batch of different things? Now, the reason I'm asking you that is because if you've only got a one thing portfolio and it doesn't perform well, yeah, that's just you being unlucky or you having a bad investment thesis. But on the opposite side, even if you only have one thing, it could also be a timing issue, meaning you were on the right track, but you might have given up too early. And that's again where things kind of get difficult when it comes to the world of investing and the world of diversification. If you put all your eggs into one basket, there's the issue of the asset not performing, but there's also the issue of everything else starts performing quicker than the asset that you were waiting on. Which is why I often tell you guys the cycle system when it comes to crypto. Basically fiat throughout the bear market, Bitcoin first, then Ethereum, and then some of the main altcoins, and then smaller and smaller. The reason I say that is not because it will work that way for every altcoin. I mean, just now in December to March, for example, to April, we saw many AI coins pop off, right? And that was kind of like an outlier because for the most part, Bitcoin, if you're looking at it, was still the strongest in the safety sense. But now, if we're taking a look at the XRP price, theoretically speaking, right, just from March 2020, for example, even though there were some outliers, it's generally speaking been a pretty beautiful upward journey. And if you compare this to Bitcoin, what you'll find is that they don't really pump like crazy at the exact same time. But generally speaking, that's true for most altcoins. They do not have a very exact schedule or an exact sort of cycle. They're all quite different. One of the attributes of XRP is that they usually go for pretty crazy gains relatively late into the cycle, really randomly it almost seems. And I believe that Bitcoin, it's a lot more logical the way it flows. Ethereum kind of follows along with Bitcoin a little bit more. XRP is more of a standalone asset. However, I think that regardless of your investment thesis, if you liked XRP before, you probably should like it better now that the issue with regards to the lawsuits are all fixed. Yes, there are some people still afraid of an appeal, but if that's really your biggest concern with everything, that's pretty good. In theory, you can really be afraid of any other crypto getting themselves into a lawsuit. I mean, Solana just got their hands thrown off a little bit, right? Because the SEC said, no, we're not going against them anymore. But you could always be afraid that the SEC opens it. Point being, I don't think it's too big of an issue that the SEC might try to do something again because ultimately I believe we're at the start of the crazy altcoin season. We're not there yet, but we're at one of the earlier phases of it. Most altcoins are not at peak performance. Just take a look at the coin market cap as an example. You'll notice really just how much down a lot of these coins are from their all-time high. Right? For example, the most important currency, USD. No, I'm just joking. It's a stable coin. Should be at $1, but sometimes it's had some crazy volatility. But just looking through, for example, Dogecoin, right? One of the most popular coins out there. It's a meme coin, and meme coins popped off like crazy. Remember? Meme coins the last couple of months have been all over the news because people made so much money. And Pepe, all those crazy ones, WIF, they were all reaching all-time highs. But Dogecoin wasn't. Dogecoin is still 85% down from its all-time high. And so you can kind of go on. Polkadot, 91% down. Shiba Inu, 84% down. Bitcoin Cash, 92% down. Litecoin, I'm not sure if that one will ever recover, but 85% down. Polygon, 85% down. You can kind of see the story here. Many of these coins, Pepe, Stellar, they're all down 90% or so from their all-time high. Even though it feels like a bull market, we're not at peak bull market. We're at one of the starting phases of it, where Bitcoin is still quite solid, but the altcoins have not gone on a rush yet. That's the phase we are in, if you're asking me. Anyway, running an investment firm for the last decade has taught me a lot of things, mostly about patience, but also, and this might sound really counterintuitive, but learning the art of giving up. Now, what do I mean with that? The art of giving up in regards to crypto is do not get stuck on your investments forever. Don't think too much about what happened in the past. Think more about what it can do in the future. If your investment thesis changes, accept it. Don't embrace whatever you originally started with because it adapts. There's a key line, though, or a very important distinction needs to be made, though, between giving up because you're afraid and because you're a little pussy for that fact, versus because you think another choice is better. As in this, you've calculated it for yourself, or you really have sat down properly and done your thinking, let's call it, and you're thinking either this is the better choice. Again, making a choice based on your calculations or fear is a world of difference. If I make a trade right now, I put $100,000 in, and I'm down $90,000, I might be afraid. Might want to cash out the $10,000 I've got left. On the opposite side, if my calculation says, nope, should be held on, well, then it's not smart to cash out because I don't act on the fear. You act on the calculations or the thesis you've written down beforehand. And again, if it changes, that's fine, but stand with it. Stay strong when it comes to your thesis, but stay flexible to change that thesis if need be. And when it comes to XRP then, my original thought was they've got a pretty good use case, but regardless of it, I believe it will regain its all-time high regardless of every other outside factor. It will regain its all-time high and probably do a couple multiples of it. I'm going to say, I think Bitcoin will do a 3 or so multiple from its all-time high. Let's just say XRP does a 3 times multiplier from its 2017-18 all-time high. I think on January 4, 2018 officially, right? Let's say $12. Let's put it there. That was my original idea. And there have been many victories and some bumps in the road, but ultimately not that much has changed. And so for me, it's just a waiting game. But, oh, yeah, they've won. Oh, yeah, but this, oh, but, yeah, but it doesn't matter to me. All this is like just flutter. It's like people talking it's like noise, let's call it. And I think many people are too emotional when it comes to this crypto stuff. They think, oh, yeah, but it should have pumped too. No, who taught you that it should do that? Who really knows how a crypto should move? Nobody really knows, right? The lawsuit was now won, just like how the ETFs came in. People do not know. Is it going to pump directly? Will it take some time? Is it buy the rumor, sell the news? With all these things, you don't really know what happens straight away. All we know is that if you had a thesis with regards to Ripple, XRP, blah, 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 the only thing, right, that I can accept is if you had a whole idea about either only buying because of the lawsuit or because of the XRP utility in a certain way that's now no longer there. Right? Those two I accept if you then quit, but that's fine because if the crypto changes its plans completely or the landscape completely changes, which I don't think it has, you might throw them out. For me, it didn't really matter, to be honest. Whatever they did, whatever Ripple does, doesn't really matter to me in terms of the price. Whatever in the rest of the ecosystem happens, doesn't really matter to me. Wherever went the cycle we're at, it doesn't really matter to me because I have a feeling, right? Maybe call me stupid, call me the most idiotic investor ever, that at some point in this Bitcoin cycle, this altcoin season, XRP will be at multiples of its all-time high. And we may be wrong, but that's what I personally believe in, and that's what I'm also putting my money towards. I've been laughed at many times, though. People have often said XRP will never go above $1 again. And I just tell them, you know what? If it doesn't, at least I tried because I thought it was a pretty good idea. Again, I've made a good return on my XRP throughout time. Because again, if you had bought dips, you'd be up a pretty good amount here. Again, even at the start of the year, for example, you could have been buying yourself below 50 cents. Or last week, could have bought at what? Or no, a couple weeks back, could have bought at 40 cents or so. Just last week, could have bought at 43 cents. There were a ton of opportunities to make a crazy sum of profit if you were just buying down lower. But ultimately, I think we can only be the judge as the lawsuit goes away, right, which it has now. We get a bull season and it ends. But this is the biggest counter I always see. People say, you know what? I believe that, what I'm saying now, until 2021, when the cycle came in again and XRP only hit $2. And then my response to that is, so the price went from 10 cents at the bottom in 2020, March 2020, 10 cents, to $2. What was it? Let me just quickly check for you. It was about $2 1 year later. So the price went from 10 cents to $2. So a 20 times return in about 1 year and 1 month. And people say it's bad. You're the most stupid investor that's out there. If you think that's bad, that is, huh? Again, the majority of you guys see this and think, you know what? That's actually pretty crazy. And then looking back at it, if you were just buying dips, you got to buy yourself at 28 cents after, maybe, right? Maybe only doubling your money is not really satisfying to you in about a year and a half. With some leverage, this could have been way more because you could have actually bought the dip of the dip at 30 cents and it would have never gone below that. But again, my investment thesis is still, let's say we just replicate if, right? I'm hoping it does better. But even if we just replicate what we saw here, a 20x in the span of 1 year from the bottom. In this case here, it's been slightly longer since we hit the rock bottom. But this cycle is also a bit different with the institutions joining in. And XRP reached the bottom kind of differently than a lot of other cryptos did. Because I think Bitcoin hit its rock bottom November or so of 2022. XRP hit a bottom slightly before that already, a few months before. But anyway, this was with the lawsuit going on. And people were fudding it like crazy. Yet it was still able to get to $2. Imagine now that the lawsuit is finished. Everything's back in the open. How crazy it can do once it gets that initial crazy hype going. Again, I will add that many things have been in the way. And right now, I believe if we did not see a crazy dump just before, perhaps this last announcement of the lawsuit would have pumped us even higher if it did not go down like 35% the day before or the few days before. But I do believe once we recross the $1 barrier and once we start going again, that things will go rather quickly. It just takes a little bit of patience for us to get there. But what is an example of you having proof that XRP will never do good again? Oh, because it did not cross its all-time high in the 2021 run. First of all, it was fighting a really important lawsuit. But second of all, doing a 20x in about a year, I don't care if they breached their all-time high. If you're not satisfied with this, I think it's a very ignorant opinion, or it's just a stupid investment thesis or stupid investment move. Again, my personal thoughts, though. I don't try to be too offensive with it all, but I do want to sometimes be a little reality check to people. And in this case, that is XRP did amazing in the 2021 run. It's a hot take. Many people disagree with me, but I think, again, they haven't really looked at this, or their head has become freaking invested with parasites to not realize that a 20x gain in a year is absolutely massive. If you want to be a little bit of a smart ass and say, you know what, but the average price that people bought XRP at was like 37 cents. You know what? Let's say it's a 6x or so from the average price to its high point here. Still very solid for a season. Yes, some coins do more. Some coins do way less. I think a 6x or a 20x from the bottom is amazing. If we do similar right now, a 20x would place us at $10, let's say. A 6x would place us at the all-time high. So let's say about $3, $4, something like that. If it does that, guys, let's be real. I'm very excited. I'm very happy. A $3 XRP would definitely make my year. And if it doesn't make yours, again, go for riskier altcoins. Go lower and lower down the ranks if you're looking for that 1000x, like I described in my previous video. Again, nothing about the core thesis has changed. Ripple's still building properly. Not too much about how they do their business has changed, or at least with regards to XRP, that should not make me negative about it. I think the hype will come back as soon as we get towards the higher prices, which will most likely happen as Bitcoin picks up the pace and the altcoin season starts flourishing. Most alts are still down 90% from its all-time high. I've not given up. I'm still here. And to me, no, I never regret buying it.